Hi, welcome to the next in the series of video presentations that I'm doing on health and safety topics. I hope you'll enjoy this one. This one's on permits to work and non-standard operations. Now, most people will think that permits to work are to do with petrochemical installations, stuff like that. But I'm going to try and show you how it's applicable to smaller operations as well. Talking about petrochemical installations, the one we think of is when it comes to permits to work is the Piper Alpha disaster. Remember, that's an oil rig that basically caught fire and blew up in the North Sea. That was caused by a failure of the permit to work system. And if you really want to have a look at a good presentation on this, go to YouTube and type in Piper Alpha Brian Appleton or Appleton BBC. It's a very good talk indeed. But when it comes to what we're talking about, well, most companies have got this kind of situation. They're in control of their core operations, making widgets or whatever, but they don't plan for things which are out of the ordinary, what I call non-standard operations. They assume that they're getting somebody in from outside, and the outside contractors will be specialists in their area and they will adequately control the risks. But let's have a look at what the risks are, the risk scopes. If you think of this, we can look at the source of the risk, which is up here, and then these are the exposed people. The exposed people can be the contractor, which is fair enough, which one we expect, but can also be your employees. And the source of the risk can be the non-standard operations, what the contractor is doing, but also your core operations. Because in most situations you don't have the luxury where you just shut down your core operations and get out of the way when the contractor gets on with it. You've got other things going on at the same time. So we've got the obvious situation where we've got the contractor exposed to his non-standard operations. So for example, he may be working at height, so therefore he's the person that could fall because of the work that he's doing. But then we've got your employees. They could be at risk as well. So again, if there's work at height being carried on, the contractor could actually drop something onto one of your employees down below. So that the employee is at risk because of the non-standard operations. And then the other one that people don't think about is this one, which is the fact that the contractor can be at risk because of your core operations, the other things which are going on. So you can't just say that, well, the contractor is doing has provided a risk assessment and method statement, because that won't cover those things. You've got to think of all three of them in parallel. Now here's an example of a printing company. I promise you this is not set up. None of these photographs are set up. This is actually what happened. And you can obviously see that there are some non-standard operations going on here. There's somebody in doing something on, I think it was on the heating system there. They're obviously carrying out non-standard operations. So he's exposed to the fact that he's working at height and he could fall from height. But notice that there are operations around here. This is this paper, this is other things that are going on. And I can tell you now this is a gangway which is frequently used. So you've got the employees that could go up and down here and they could be at risk of things being dropped from height. Then notice this little beastie here, the forklift truck, which is parked there. And I said this is not a set up photograph, this is what actually happened. Now it's quite easily to conceive a situation where that forklift truck could reverse round the corner and plonk itself into the scissor lift there. So there's the contractor who is at risk because of the core operations. So that's one situation here. Here's another one. A company in South Wales. Some operations going on there. They were actually, these are roll label printers, and this is the printing line going along there, and they were installing an overhead crane, gantry crane here, which is going to replace this swinging arm crane there. Now they're working at height, so that's a risk obviously, but this machine is still running while these people are working above it. So there's obviously a risk there. And another one which is close to my heart, this was a casting operation in Melbourne, at the plant where I worked. And what happened, what the situation is we've got a casting pit. I won't go into the details of it now, but it has water in it. But for safety reasons, we got rid of most of the water out of that pit by pumping it into this holding tank, this 21,000 litre holding tank there, and then pumping it up into a header tank, and the whole process went round and round in circles like that. It was decided that this tank needed to be cleaned. Fair enough, good decision. So what we did was we shut off this pump there, and we pumped up water and emptied the tank, and it was cleaned on the Friday. On the Monday there was nobody there. They finished the work, that's what was said. And so it was decided that they would empty the water out of this pit into this tank, and we're talking about pipes that kind of diameter, a fairly sizable pipe. We're not talking about 15mm water pipes, really serious stuff. And before they, this was all made ready to fill this up, but before the technician, a guy called Owen Parker, actually switched on the pump, he went round and he made sure that there was nothing happening, and he found that the people that were carrying out the cleaning had turned up late. So, and they were inside the tank. We were just about to fill that tank with a lot of water at very high speed, a lot of volume, a lot of flow rate, and it's quite likely that one or both of them would have been killed. So you need some kind of way of controlling that. The kind of risk sources that you get, this is not an exhaustive list at all, but this is some of the risks that can go on. Obviously, falls from height, fall of objects from height, people getting stuck, vehicle movements, etc. You think about that, but you've got to think about hazardous substances. What substances is your contractor using, and what substances are you using? That includes things like asbestos, which could affect the contractor. So, for example, in that previous slide, we were using quite a lot of argon. That was pumped round. Argon is a asphyxiant. It's not poison. It's an asphyxiant, and so you had to make sure that people were taking the appropriate precautions, and any kind of pipe work was shut off. Okay, what should you have in your permit to work, which is a way of controlling this? Well, the first thing is that you've got a description of the work to be carried out, and the risk control measures for those risks, which is fair enough. But then you've got the sign on and the sign off, and this is quite critical. This is where it becomes important. Now, if we look at what a permit to work may be, and there's not a right way to do a permit to work, here's one which you can make available to you. But it's a permit to work, and it describes where the area is, what the date range is, the description of the work, what the risks are, and the precautions to be taken. And then you've got this sign off and sign on arrangement here. Now let's look at that in more detail. At the sign on stage, this is the person, the contractor carrying out the work, and he's saying, look, I have organised all the safety precautions, I'm about to start work. And this is the manager or the supervisor or whatever in that area, in the area affected by the work, that says, I acknowledge that you're doing that, I'm going to keep my guys out of the way, I'm going to keep the operations, the devices like forklift trucks, for example, out of the way while you're carrying out the work. Then at the end, we get this handshake back again. We've got the sign off, and it's the person carrying out the work says, I have completed the work, the equipment or the area or whatever it is handed back to you, and you can use it again as normal. And this is the acceptance by the manager and the supervisor that he's inspected the area and is satisfied that the normal operations may recommence. As I say, there's one which is available. I normally have this arrangement, which is a two-part on 2 pages. On the back page I put a checklist, so it gives you some things to think about when you actually fill this in. The way that it works is that, as I say, there's a 2-part NCR paper. The white copy is given to the contractor, the colour copy is retained by the company themselves. And when the contractor has finished, he hands back and he signs off his white copy. So that is the signal that you're sending stuff back, or you're giving the operations back to the core company. As I said, that's available if you want to get it. You can get it from the Strategic Safety Systems website. It's up there. It's www.strategicsafety.co.uk, and if you go onto the publications and photos, you'll find it at that permit to work form there. It's available. It's free to use. Please use it, but keep the copyright situation notification on it. And that's about it. I'd be delighted to hear any comments on this. You can either get hold of me either by emailing me at phil@strategicsafety.co.uk or by the mobile phone number, which is 077 680 11067. Okay, thank you.